There you go.
If I did anything wrong, it's definitely on tape. It's traditional, after flying in a balloon, to have a toast of champagne right at your landing site. People hear about these hot air balloon champagne flights, think, oh, what a nice little perk, we're going to be drinking champagne. No, it's never in the air. It's always upon landing. To understand why we do the toast of champagne and the tradition behind it, you have to understand a little bit about the history behind hot air ballooning. So while they're getting everything, a quick history lesson for you. So ballooning was discovered accidentally in France in the late 1700s, actually 1783 to be precise, by two brothers named Joseph and Etienne Montgolfier. And if you speak French, the word hot air balloon in French is called une montgolfière, and it's named right after these guys. And as the story goes, these guys were paper makers by trade. And they had a contract to build these paper bags. So they were busy building their paper bags all day, and one of the brothers took a break to make their dinner. They was cooking their dinner over their kitchen fire, and they left their door open, and the wind blew one of their supply bags, not upside down, but just horizontally over the fire. Before it went in, they noticed it floated over the fire before going in, and they took another bag sideways on the. They go, hey, why is that floating? So that night they made a very large paper bag, and they went outside the next morning. They started a little fire, and instead of putting it horizontal, they actually opened up this bag. They watched it fill with smoke, and miraculously it went up. So they say it was at that point there the idea about creating a bag large enough in which they could actually go up in was conceived. Now all of the Montgolfier brothers are credited with the discovery of ballooning. They didn't have the know-how or the money to build a large enough man balloon. But it was later that year that some of the royalty of France had heard what the Montgolfier brothers were experimenting with. They invited them to their chateaus, and together they built these first man balloons. Now they're a lot different than the modern balloons of today. First of all, no baskets. They made a platform to stand on, very similar to a raft. They're small little logs. To this platform, they used hemp, and they tied it to a bag, which was hand-sewn of nothing but the finest of French silk. And they obviously didn't have propane burners like we had, so what they did is they fashioned a large metal kettle in which they started a fire, and that was suspended underneath the mouth of the silk envelope. But they thought the physics of them going up, that it wasn't the heat of the fire that was making them fly, but the smoke, because they could see the smoke going up, they couldn't see the heat. So they felt once they got their fires going, they needed to get it as smoky as possible. So they would bring green wood, leaves, anything to get a smoky mess going. Now thinking that the smoke gave them their ability to fly, they had their envelopes come right down to the bottom of their platform. So they're actually encased in these balloons. Oh. And they had really ornate designs made on them. And part of the designs were these little circular cutouts so they could stick their heads out and breathe and see. Mm-hmm. But if you look in the history of ballooning, you look at pictures, it's a picture of this egg-shaped ornate balloon with billowing smoke coming out the bottom. You can't see anybody in there. Okay, so these guys are going to go fly. A couple of things. People didn't fly back then. The only thing that flew were the birds. The hot air balloon was the first flying craft. To make it even more complicated, if you left your region of France and went to the next neighboring region, everyone spoke French, but the dialects were so different from region to region, you couldn't be understood. So these guys would take off from their fields, float around, come to land at the next field over, and these landowners would see this bag of smoke coming up from the heavens, descending, and they thought it was something evil being sent by the devil. So they'd be running out with their pitchforks and staves, getting all their hired hands together to confront the demon coming from the heavens. And then upon touchdown, out from the belly of these demons would tumble these creatures, as far as these people were concerned, that were covered in sweat. They didn't look French, and they didn't speak their language, so they were convinced these were messengers of the devil. So not only would they start tearing apart the balloons, they started attacking the balloon pilots. So this went on for a while until one of the guys came up with an idea. And it's like, hey, we should carry with us at all times a bottle of champagne. For a few reasons. Back then, only French people had champagne. No matter which vineyard you got it from, all the bottles look the same, and no matter how different your dialect, the word champagne translated right across the nation. So immediately upon touchdown, they jump out of their balloons with a bottle extended and just keep uttering the word champagne over and over again. These landowners would realize these guys don't mean any harm. They're French, they must have champagne. And the balloon pilots would open this bottle and share it with the landowner as a thank you for letting them use the field to land in, and also to toast a successful return to Earth. So now we jump ahead 200 years. I told these guys before we take off, I said, no idea what field we're taking, but we're coming down towards Tottenham, and we're going to pick a field. And we always invite the people who own the field out to join us for champagne. That's a tradition of sharing that's been going on for 200 years. But since it's both your first, not only is it your first flight, it's also special occasions for Tracy. You're with her, your anniversary. We have to do another little salt thing. We're supposed to bring you luck. So once we pour this, hold on to this. We're going to do something else, and it's supposed to give you luck. And everything is tradition. Oops. Okay. All right, Dale, what next we're going to do? Now, on your right knee, so you gotta kneel down. This is your right knee. Now this is alfalfa, if you're wondering what this crop is. And they use this to sweeten hay to give it to cows. Or, well, you stay down. You guys, I'm your pilot. I have the privilege of coming up behind you with a sprig of Mother Earth, where you safely landed upon, which gets placed on your head. And there's a little toast, or a poem that goes like this, called the Balloonist Prayer. The winds have welcomed you with softness, the sun has blessed you with its warmth. You have flown so high and so well that God has joined you in your laughter, and he has set you gently back down into the loving arms of Mother Earth. And on your sprig, you get a drop of champagne, which is to bring you luck, and welcome you as an aeronaut, which is someone who's flown in the balloon, which most people haven't. And I can toast you, clink, on a beautiful, beautiful, happy anniversary, happy birthday,